What up, guys, and welcome back to Thomas Reacts here on the 360 experience with myself, Thomas Maba. So today I want us to focus on the coalitions. I want us to focus on the African National Congress, the DA and the EFF. A lot of things has been said regarding the coalitions that might take place in South Africa in 2024. You've seen parties like the Democratic Alliance already concocted its own alliance, the Moonpeg Short, that aims to unseat the African National Congress in 2024. And it was very interesting to hear the Moonpeg saying that they are not going to negotiate with the African National Congress, and they are also not interested in negotiating with the economic freedom fighters. But the DA has been accused of negotiating with the African National Congress behind everyone's back. Even the likes of Getty McKenzie are accusing the Democratic Alliance and Helen Zille specifically of negotiating with the African National Congress behind everyone's back. So guys, do you think that the African National Congress and the DA are negotiating? Do you think those conversations are taking place as we speak right now about the 2024 elections? So you know that the African National Congress will do everything to stay in power. I believe that their doors are open to whoever who's going to assist them to stay in power. And you know that the DA has been fighting to be in power for such a long time. And do you think that if they get a slight chance of being in governance, they will not negotiate with the African National Congress? They will stick to what they said to the Moonpeg Short by saying that we are not going to negotiate with the African National Congress, and we are also not going to negotiate with the economic freedom fighters. Guys, so what are your thoughts on that? Another thing, guys, I want us to talk about is this narrative that has been said. I've seen a lot of people, especially in the media, saying that if the African National Congress and the EFF goes into coalition next year and govern the country is done. People are saying that. A lot of people in the media are saying that if African National Congress and the EFF goes into coalition in 2024, South Africa is done. South Africa is done. And it's been very interesting to watch this conversation online, because right now it seems like people are more interested in demonizing each other instead of simply outlaying their policies. So guys, I'm asking you again, do you believe that the coalition of the ANC and the EFF would be devastating for South Africa? And if you believe that, please give me the reasons why. I don't want our platform to end up being like any of these platforms where people are simply just demonizing each other and insulting each other without actually talking and opening up a dialogue. So guys, I'm trying to open up a dialogue. Do you believe that the coalition of the African National Congress and the economic freedom fighters would be devastating for South Africa? And if you believe so, please give me the reasons why. And if you don't believe this narrative that has been said about the coalition of the ANC and the EFF being devastating to South Africa, guys, you are also welcome to give me your reasons. If you believe that this is fake news, this is fear mongering, this is people simply trying to detract South Africans from looking for, please guys, this is open. I want you guys to tell me. Honestly, I want you guys to tell me, because I'm trying to learn from all of these things. I'm so sick and tired of trying to learn about these things, and the only thing that you hear people saying is that no, EFF are just communist, no, the DA are just racist, no, the ANC are just corrupt. No guys, I want you to give me the reasons. I want you to give me valid reasons. Why do you believe that the coalition of the African National Congress and the EFF would be devastating for South Africa? And if you don't believe this narrative that has been said, please guys also give me the reasons. You are also welcome to say no, those guys are talking nonsense. The coalition of the EFF and the ANC would be good for South Africa. And guys, please give me the reasons why you say that, because I'm trying to open up a dialogue here. You understand?
The possibility of a so-called grand coalition between the African National Congress and the Democratic Alliance has gained a bit of traction in recent weeks in opinion pieces and analysis from various organizations. Related to that, we now have firm information on the new multi-party charter for South Africa, signed by at least 7 parties up to this point, with the possibility that the invitations will be extended to other parties to join. Joining me to unpack these issues is Marius Roodt from the Institute of Race Relations. Marius, thanks once again for your time with us at the CRA this week. Just to start off with a little bit, this idea of a grand coalition between the ANC and the DA. All of us wondering and trying to speculate on how things are going to shake out in the elections next year. The possibility itself might be very remote, in your view, maybe 1% on the sort of spectrum at this point in time, but I don't think we can discount it necessarily.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely, but it's not impossible. I think I might have mentioned it before, that I still don't think it's impossible that the ANC could win a slim majority, getting just above 50%. And if they don't, they're probably not going to miss a majority by a significant margin. I think it's unlikely that they're going to win only, say, low 40s or high 30s of the votes. If they are under 50%, I can see that, it would probably be 47, 48%, somewhere around there. And they don't need one of the smaller parties to just get them over the line. So a party like Good or Al-Jamaa or even the IFP, who's a member of the multi-party charter, but they have worked with the ANC before, including in national government. So I don't think it's something that can be discounted immediately. But it seems that there is some appetite for this, including from the ANC, which is quite interesting. We've had some fairly senior people in the ANC say they'd rather work with the DA than the EFF. Maybe not so much at national level, but at local government level. Saying things like, we know that they're good at service delivery, but I think it was Luki Zikalala, who's the head of the Veterans League, saying, we know that they're good at providing services, but they're against things like transformation, and the party is racist, so we can't work with them for those reasons, but perhaps we have to look for ways to work together. And also Pikile Mbalula has also said that the ANC should look to work with the DA rather. A senior member of the ANC, Ekurhuleni, also said that the party's partnership with the EFF wasn't working, as did, I think it was the spokesperson for the ANC Youth League. So it seems a lot of people, senior people in the ANC, seem to be warming to an idea of the ANC-DA coalition. I just don't think it will be necessary at national level yet. In other provinces or in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, it might be a possibility. But I do think an ANC-DA coalition would be a bad idea for the DA. I don't think the ANC will give the DA any important cabinet posts. I don't think the DA would be, say, given finance or the Department of Public Enterprises or anything like that. And I doubt that the ANC would be willing to implement any kind of reforms that the DA would want, around the economy, or pushing, going back on policies such as BE or NHR or other policies that aren't really government policies that will not exist, things like cadre deployment. So I think it would be probably a mistake for the DA because the ANC is probably still going to be in charge in some form until 2029, and even if it's not with the EFF, I think we're just going to see the kind of same trends we've been seeing since early 2010s. Unfortunately, there's going to be no real economic reform or anything like that, and we're just going to carry on the path we've been going on. And if the DA is in coalition with the ANC, voters, I think, will blame the DA as much as they blame the ANC. And this has happened to, across the world, this often happens to junior parties and coalitions. An example I like to use is the one of the Tories and the Lib Dems in the UK. In 2010, the Tories didn't manage to win a majority in Westminster. The Lib Dems went into coalition with them, and the Lib Dems had to go back on quite a few of their, or renege on quite a few of their promises they'd made to the electorate. And when 2015 came around, the next election, the Lib Dems went from, I think it was 57 seats in Westminster to 6 or 7, and they still haven't really recovered. They've only got, they hold 11 or 12 seats in Westminster now.
It's very interesting to hear what Marius is saying. Is this the reason why the DA has been accused of negotiating with the African National Congress? Because it seems like the members of the African National Congress are open to the idea of working with the Democratic Alliance. If you remember, guys, the president of ANC Veterans League, Sunugisi Kalala, went to Biz News recently, and he said that yes, the African National Congress is open to the idea of working with the Democratic Alliance, but working with the DA, with the EFF, not so much. Is that the reason why right now the Democratic Alliance has been accused of negotiating with the African National Congress? Mainly because senior members of the African National Congress, it seems like they've already warmed up to the idea of working with the Democratic Alliance. But the Democratic Alliance is saying that they are not going to negotiate with the African National Congress. And now people are saying that the Democratic Alliance, it is negotiating with the African National Congress. Like I said, guys, when I started this stream, like, what are your thoughts? Do you think that these negotiations are taking place? Do you think the negotiations between the DA and the ANC are taking place right now? Someone said that the DA and the ANC are so obsessed with power, guys. They will go into negotiation in a heartbeat. That's what they said. They said that the ANC and the DA are so power hungry. They will go into coalitions in a heartbeat, simply to be in power. So do you think that these negotiations are being had?
So the Lib Dems were kind of, they were shackled, they couldn't really do what they wanted, and a lot of the problems that happened under the Tory government, a lot of people blamed the Lib Dems as much as the Tories would. So I think it would be a mistake for the DA to go into a coalition with the ANC. But yeah, I mean, stranger things have happened, and you know, from what I've heard, there have been some talks in the past between the ANC and DA, between fairly senior members of both parties. So I don't think it's something you can dismiss completely out of hand, although I do still think it's unlikely.
Marius, shifting a little bit to a different kind of coalition. So in recent weeks, we had this agreement now between 7 parties who came together at a meeting, including parties like the Democratic Alliance, the Anc-Da Freedom Party, the Freedom Front Plus, Action SA, and a few other smaller ones, coming together and forming now what they've called a multi-party charter for South Africa. Your impressions of the charter, of the agreement, if you want to highlight any particular items maybe that you stood out in terms of sort of...
And guys, for which coalition would you prefer? The coalition of the African National Congress and the DA, or the coalition of the African National Congress and the EFF, and why? Which coalition would you prefer? The ANC with the DA or the ANC with the EFF? And why? And why? And why? And why? Why do you think that the African National Congress and the DA would be a better coalition than the African National Congress and the EFF? Because even if when you look at the policies of the African National Congress and the DA are day and night, man. But when you look at the policies of the African National Congress and the EFF, maybe they can work something out. But when you look at the policies of the African National Congress and the DA, man, it's day and night. But for some reason, people believe that the coalition of the ANC and the DA would be better than the coalition of the ANC and the EFF.
Documents and the declaration, as it were, what this charter is committed to. There is, of course, the possibility that they'll extend invitations to other parties. I think, I'm speaking under correction, but the sort of idea of working with the EFF and ANC, they've ruled that out categorically as part of the requirements of the charter. But anything, what do you think about this sort of idea and maybe its viability?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite a good idea. It's something new in South African politics. We've had these kind of opposition coalitions or pacts come before, but they haven't really got anywhere. There was the Coalition for Change, I think it was called, in 2004 between the DA and the IFP, which didn't really go anywhere. But then the context and environment was, of course, very different. You know, the ANC was really the juggernaut. The economy was booming, things were going right, and the DA, you know, didn't govern. I think it had lost Cape Town at that stage. It didn't govern the Western Cape. The IFP was on a downwards trend instead of the upwards trend that we're seeing now at the moment. So I think the context is a bit different. And I think what's good with this charter is that they have set out kind of ground rules of how the parties are going to work together. You know, what if they had to come into government, how it would function, you know, how the kind of portfolios would be divided and so on. And there have been some interesting things when sort of on ideological terms, what they said they stand for. A lot of it is kind of boilerplate. You know, we want good economic growth. We want, you know...
And guys, you know, it's so interesting because the multi-charter and the DA, they are saying that they are not going to negotiate with the African National Congress and the EFF. But at the same time, they are saying that the coalition of the ANC and the EFF would be devastating for South Africa. So what is it exactly that we're trying to get at here? Because if the coalition, if the Moon Pact says that they are not going to negotiate with the ANC and they are not going to negotiate with the EFF, are they not pushing the ANC and the EFF together? Are they not pushing the ANC and the EFF close to each other? By simply stating that we are not going to negotiate with you guys, we are not even interested in negotiating with you guys. Are they not pushing these two parties together? Because right now, it seems like they said that they will not work with the ANC and the EFF. But at the same time, they come back and saying that the coalition of the ANC and the EFF would be devastating for South Africa. So, I'm really trying, it's really hard for me to make sense of it all, because if you are not going to negotiate with these guys might as well negotiate with each other. They might as well negotiate with each other, man. So do you think this statement, this multi-party statement of saying that they are not going to negotiate with both the ANC and the EFF, don't you think that that statement is pushing the ANC and the EFF close to each other? And what they are scared of might actually happen in 2024.
All South Africans to feel welcome or whatever it is. But some of the stuff I thought was quite interesting, talking about devolving government power to, the lowest possible level of government. I can't remember the exact text, but it was something like that, which I think is quite interesting, and I think plays into the kind of devolution issues, which the DA and the IFP and the Freedom Front Plus were all pretty keen on. So I think that was quite interesting, and that is making it clear that they, in some ways, that they ideologically quite different from the ANC and the EFF. And it's also interesting that they said they're not going to categorically not work with the ANC or the EFF, which I think, it's probably what you've got to do. You've got to make sure that voters who don't want those parties in power know that you're not going to work with them. But as the electoral map stands at the moment, I think any coalition with any anti-ANC coalition which wants even a sniff of a majority of 50% plus one would have to include the EFF. I don't see, it's just how it stands at the moment, unless we see a massive collapse in ANC support which goes to the DA or Action SA or whatever the case is, which I don't really foresee. Even in provinces where the ANC is probably going to lose power next year, in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, even in those provinces, you're probably going to need the EFF to be part of an anti-ANC coalition. In both Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, the parties that make up this multi-party charter, together they come to about 30 to 35% of the vote. Again, in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, this was obviously 2019, this was before Action SA existed. And Action SA did pretty well in Gauteng in the local government elections. So, that can change the electoral maps a bit, and looks like Action SA does take votes away from the ANC as well. So, I think that does change the dynamic a bit, but still I don't see these parties getting 50% in any of the provinces, but I could be wrong. According to DA polling, apparently the multi-party charter parties together have nearly 48% of the votes in Gauteng, according to some polling. So it's not impossible, but I think it's going to be a hard slog. And I think, this is actually just laying the foundation and the groundwork for a post-ANC government in 2029, I think. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see the ANC out of power in 2024. Maybe in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, but even then, I think it's probably a 50-50 chance.
Thank you very much for watching. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And a reminder, please, before you leave, to like this video and subscribe to our channel if you have not yet done so.
So, guys, what are your thoughts, man, on this whole conversation of coalitions, man? What are your thoughts on this whole thing? And do you believe these guys when they say that they're not going to negotiate with each other, man? Politicians are politicians. At the end of the day, politicians are politicians. That's how I see it. Politicians are politicians. Because I can also imagine a scenario where the African National Congress is working with the DA, and the DA justifying that by saying that we are putting the people first, we are not putting our egos first. It's an acceptable reason, man. People can accept that. Okay, you guys are not really seeing eye to eye, but you are willing to put your differences aside to put the needs of the South Africans first. It's acceptable. That reason is acceptable, man. That's why it's so hard for me to believe when politicians say that we are not going to work with certain political parties, because I know after the elections, after the votes has been counted, everyone is going to negotiate with everyone, man. These guys are going to negotiate with everyone. Everyone is going to negotiate with everyone. I think that by saying I'm not going to work with African National Congress, you are simply firing up your base and making them, you are simply firing up your base. You see, trying to say that, okay, we don't want anything to do with the ANC. We don't want anything to do with the corruption. We are clean. We want to clean house. And we are not even going to negotiate with African National Congress. I think it's a good strategy, man, going forward to 2024. But in reality, after the votes has been counted, man, everyone is going to be negotiating with everyone, because at the end of the day, these political parties, they want power. Everyone wants power. Everyone is going to grab some power in 2024. So guys, it is going to be very interesting. So please tell me what you think about this whole thing on the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part, guys, please subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.